Hey, what's going on guys? Deanna from ModBot here, and today I have a super exciting video for you guys. Today we are going to be taking a look at Elegoo's new water washable 3D printing resin. This is a resin I've had my eyes on ever since I heard it was initially announced, because it is something that I think is really neat and a lot of you guys are going to like. With normal resins, when you are done 3D printing, part of the post-processing is to bathe them in either a ultrasonic cleaner with IPA or just in a tub of isopropyl alcohol, which is not great to work with. And this allows you to just use regular water from your sink to be able to clean the parts when they're done instead of having to use IPA. So before I talk a bit more about this resin, I want to obviously do some printing with it. That's what we need to do to see how well does this stuff actually print. So let's go ahead and get into it. So over the last couple of months here, I've gotten to test out quite a few different resins, from standard model resin to tough resin to semi-flexible resin, and now this water washable resin. And so I was curious to see whether this would print any different than the absolutely amazing quality that I've gotten off of just Elegoo's standard resin, because I am a huge fan of their standard resin. I rave about it all the time. It is very low cost, available in a wide variety of colors, and it is very low odor, which in all honesty is probably my favorite out of those things. I resin print right behind where this camera's at in my little walk-in closet work area, and although I can close the door, I don't have very far that I can go away from the resin printer. And so printing with a resin that's got a lot of strong odors, I don't really even like to be in the office area. But with Elegoo's resin that I've been using, I can be literally right here at my desk and there is no pungent odor in the air, which is great for me and great for my girlfriend since she's got to live with me. And again, I don't want to be breathing in nasty resins. This stuff also is really similar as far as scent goes. It was very minimal odor compared to some other resins that I've tried out. As far as the profile or the slicing settings in Chitubox, I used the exact same settings with no difference at all whatsoever, and the prints came out totally awesome. One thing that I noticed, which was really cool with this resin, is that the supports that I was creating in Chitubox, I always normally cut them off with a little flesh cutter, and on this one with this resin, it stuck well enough to where it was holding all my parts, but I was actually able to just use my hands to pretty easily break it off, all the supports from the model, and it did leave a tiny little nub on some of the spots, but then I went in with flesh cutters and just kind of removed it. But support removal with this stuff seemed actually easier than their standard resin, which again, I don't know if it was just a freak thing or what, but that was something that I noticed right away, which was really cool. Support removal was really easy on a model that had a lot of crazy complex geometry. The only time I had to be careful was when I had a little figure that was like maybe an arm that was completely covered in supports. I still wanted to help cut it out because I did have one instance where I was trying to pull away the supports with my hand and actually tore off an arm, which was unfortunate. So if you don't want to tear off arms, be careful with obviously little fragile parts that are sticking off still. One other big thing that I wanted to say up front right now is, although this resin is water washable, that does not mean that you should take a print off your printer, go over to your sink in your bathroom or your kitchen and rinse it in the sink and just have the resin flood down the drain. That is not at all what you should be doing. What you realistically should be doing is, with the bucket, or what I feel, there's just a bucket of tap water. I have used it now for maybe 6 prints or so, give or take 6 to 8 prints. And when it's done, you should actually be taking that outside into the sun or putting that whole bucket into your UV curing station. That way it cures the resin, and afterwards you can just dispose of it like you normally would with cured resin, which can at that point just go in your trash. But don't use a sink without a tub or anything like that and just allow it to go down the drain. That is not what we should be doing, and I definitely am not perfect, but I think that, you know, with this hobby, as much as I love it, we need to be as responsible as possible. So I wanted to make that be known because I've seen some talk and some comments about that. Again, what makes this stuff really awesome is that you don't have to use IPA. You can just use water, and water is, one, a lot cheaper than IPA. Tap water is very, very inexpensive. So that's one thing that's nice, is that it's the cost. 2, IPA is much nastier to work with. 1, just breathing in the IPA fumes that it causes and the potential flammability of it. Water is just a safer alternative to work with, and it seems to work really well. It was very easy for me to get off all of the excess resin. So for me, this stuff's awesome. It also is really great that the price point on it seems to be fairly low and comparable to that of the model resin, because if it was really expensive, that would kind of be a downer, and you know, that would kind of offset some of the pros of using this resin. But as of right now, when I looked on Amazon, I believe this resin was going for $30 for 500 milliliters, which is pretty much right on par with their standard resin. It might be a couple of dollars more, but in all honesty, to be able to use water instead of IPA for the cost savings and the convenience, I do think that I would much rather go with this stuff. So if you have been using their model resin, or just a model resin in general, and are interested in the water washable resin, then it gets my 2 thumbs up. I think it's great. It's not, at least this stuff won't be replacing any of the tough resins or flexible resins, because it doesn't have those properties. In my testing, it seems like it is pretty damn close to being on par with what you'd expect from just standard model resin, is what they primarily call it. But this was a blast to test out. I've got a little bit more in the bottle that I plan on using, and I would love to test out some of their other colors. I've only seen the gray so far, but I believe that they've got some listings for various other colors, so maybe that'll be coming in a future video. But if you guys do want to find out more about this resin or purchase some of it for yourself, links will be in the description down below. If you've got any questions on anything I didn't cover at all in this video, please let me know as well. I'm more than happy to answer them in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content and want to support me. My Patreon will be in the description down below. I've got some really awesome rewards, and it all goes back to the channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. On that note, I'm out. Peace, guys.